High school sweethearts Anthony and Samantha got married fresh after graduation. Not long after, Samantha got pregnant, and they went and got a place of their own. Sadly, just 2 weeks before his son was born, Anthony was driving home from work when he was struck and killed by a drunk driver. His family, along with Samantha's, would help her raise their son, Caleb, with financial support and watching him while she was at work. Just a few weeks before Caleb's 11th birthday, Samantha would meet a new friend online, Kathy. She would tell Samantha about West Virginia, where she lived in Charleston, how beautiful it was and how she felt free there. She recommended that Samantha move out of the house that her and Anthony used to live at and find a new place to live in West Virginia. Sadly, though, after searching online, she couldn't find any properties in her price range for rent in Charleston. Although a few days later, an opening would come up in Fairmont, West Virginia, just 2 hours away from Kathy. Samantha would quickly put the down payment down and spend one last day with both Anthony's family and her family before moving the next morning. The next morning came. Samantha woke Caleb up early in the morning. They wasted no time, and they hit the road to West Virginia. The ride took them countless hours. Caleb was getting frustrated in the car, but eventually they reached their destination, a beautiful small countryside town. And when they arrived to their house, they thought it was even more beautiful than they could imagine. Samantha didn't waste any time. She quickly enrolled Caleb into Fairmont Middle School, and then she secured herself a job at the Fairmont Medical Center. Over the next few weeks, they got settled in. Caleb was happy at school. Samantha was happy at work. Everything at the house was going good. They eventually took the 2-hour journey and went and visited Kathy for Caleb's birthday. Afterwards, they returned to the house, and that night they would have their first encounter. After returning from Kathy's, Caleb and Samantha would go to bed. A few hours later, Caleb would wake up out of his sleep. The room was cold. The lights were flickering on and off. Suddenly, his attention was drawn to his doorway. He let out a yell. Samantha came running into the room. Caleb told his mom that he had seen a tall, dark shadow figure of a man standing in his doorway. Confused, with the window open, she gave it some belief. She made her way over to her cell phone, calling the police. They came out and investigated. Without finding footprints or any evidence of anyone being there, they couldn't do anything about it. The next day, Caleb would go to school, and things would return to normal for Samantha as she headed into work. But things were not getting normal for Caleb, as he would go on to experience the same shadow figure 2 more times. Samantha, not knowing what to do, called the sheriff again, both of the times. The sheriff would come and investigate and would never find anything. This only led her to further disbelieve Caleb in these stories. That was until she had her very own experience with the shadow figure. Just as Caleb described it, waking up in a cold sweat, the chill of the room, the window open, the lights flickering, and the shadow man standing in the doorway. She quickly dismissed it as a dream, and the next morning, to capture it, she would paint a picture of what she saw in the supposed dream. Due to exhaustion, the next morning, Samantha woke up late. She noticed that Caleb had already left for school. While she was in his room, something caught her eye on the nightstand. It was a drawing. Caleb had painted what he saw during these paranormal experiences, and it matched her drawing exactly. With no one else to turn to, she called Kathy. Kathy recommends she gets an audio recorder and try to contact the spirit to see what it wants with her and her son. So she went to a thrift store, she found one, and that's exactly what she did. Here are the recordings that she caught on tape. These 2 recordings, combined with her and her son's experiences, prompted her to do an investigation into the history of the house. She headed down